Today we're at Netherdale for the Scottish Hydroelectric Premier 2 match between Gala and Stewart. And pretty horrible conditions here they are too. Both sides won last week in their opening matches, so it's a big one here. And early on, with the wind and rain behind them, Gala testing the Stewart defence, and Hindon Liga having to be pretty slippy there to knock Craig Robertson into touch. Gala kept up the pressure, pick up there by Graham Bryce. Out again to Robertson. And a wee flurry down the right wing inside to scrum half Ian Ross. Gala keeping the ball alive, looking for a wee gap in the Stewart defence. Thumping through there by David Marshall, and a big lock forcing Stewart into a wee indiscretion. Penalty, says John Steele. Thanks a lot, says skipper Andy McLean, and pops over the first points after only 5 minutes to give Gala a 3-0 lead. The wind and the rain at their backs meant that Gala spent most of the time in the Stewart half, and the visitors, well, they only got their hands on the ball on a very odd occasion. And then, when they did get it, the Gala defence was up there very, very quickly, and their hands were on it for too long. Penalty, says John Steele. This time it was Bruce Dick was the man who stepped up. Terrific kick there from a long way out in miserable conditions. Gala 6, Stewart 0. 10 minutes later, and that high ball was always going to be a tricky one, but brilliantly taken there by big Stephen Dalgleish for Stewart. Ball moving out the line just a wee bit fancy there in the Stewart backs. Got into an awful Fanko. Gala on it like a shot. And John Steele having a good look this time, but Stewart managing to work it back. Rob Patterson there. Out to number 8. Phil Henry, crunched down there by a great tackle by Angus Lang, but a wee drive on here by Stewart, getting a bit of momentum going. Simon Rowan making the hard yards, but a turnover for Gala. Ian Ross and James O'Neill putting Andy McLean into a wee bit of space, certainly turned over by his opposite number Craig Marshall, but penalty way, way back. Up step Bruce Dick, and whoa, in off the post. What a kick. And no wonder he's smiling, the young Gala centre, taking them into a 9-0 lead with 7 minutes to go of the first half. Ian Ross out to Andy McLean and asking serious questions of the Stewart defence. Stuart Clark in there, rescuing the ball, turning it over. Simon Clark in the line there, just a wee bit scrappy. Stewart not able to get out of their own half. Gala quite determined to pin them there and take any advantage that was going. Players fleeing about all over the place there, and well, one of the Stewart boys was fleeing just a wee bit too much, off his feet, going into the ruck to John Steele, and another chance for Bruce Dick, and another penalty straight between the posts to take Gala into half-time, 12-0 ahead.
Coverage brought to you by Rewrite Sport, where results are guaranteed.
In conditions like this, you always wonder if that number of points are going to be enough, but even into the wind, Gala prepared to throw the ball out. Andy McLean jinking about there, finding Fraser Thompson outside him, and prepared this time to give the ball a wee bit of air, despite the fact that it was now getting like a bar of soap. Graham Bryce snagged there in midfield by the Stewart defence, and wee bit of jiggery pokery going on in there, and trying to get it back with our hands. John Steele up stepped Bruce Dick, and I'll tell you, into that wind, that was one cracker of a kick. Now 15 points to 0 to Gala. That might be just enough to see them safe, but as we got about 10 minutes into the second half, Stu Mill realising that the conditions at their back was going to mean an awful lot. Sean McMurtry, the Stu Mill hooker, driving in there. Support from Christian Pera and Blair Tweedy. Over the line, but held up, says John Steele. That's some size of a ball they're playing with, John. So Stu Mill keeping the pressure up. Phil Hendry taken out by his opposite number, Graham Bryce. But flanker Simon Rowan looking for a way through, and he's got bodies behind him. He's over the line, and well, 5 points on the board for Stu Mill after 10 minutes of the second half. Was this the start of a fight back? And Gala now found themselves under the cosh. Stu Mill using the elements, keeping play inside the Gala 22. Keeping it close, keeping it tight. McMurtry driving through there, only a couple of yards from the line, taken on, and who was the man who got the touchdown? Yep, McMurtry's partner in crime in the front row, Alex Edmondson. Arms raised, second try for Stu Mill. Very difficult kick for Sam Hendry, but that's what you call a stoter of a conversion. So 3 points in it, going into the final quarter, and Stu Mill, well, they play most of that time inside the Gala 22 this time. Phil Hendry taking it off the back of the scrum, taking it up to just a couple of yards from the line, and no fancy stuff here from Stu Mill, keeping it close, keeping it tight. And Patterson out to Craig Marshall. Marshall taking it back into his forwards, and offside there against Graham Bryce. Taken quickly by Sean McMurtry, a couple of yards from the line. Patterson grieving for the ball there. Out to number 8, Phil Hendry, and he's a long fella, and he's got the reach, and he's got the try. The try that took Stu Mill into the lead. And that was a lead they had no intention of relinquishing, and as the game entered the final seconds, Stu Mill was still battering away at the Gala line. Gala defence really out on their feet now, but they gave nothing else away. And from that final stoppage, final whistle, Stu Mill the winners, and that's a big, big win, because coming to Netherdale, they knew that they were going to be up against it.
Very difficult conditions, so we're delighted to get the win. It's the first time that Stu Mill didn't win a game in the Borders last year, so for us to come win today in difficult conditions, we're really delighted. So, really tough match. There wasn't 1 point scored going into the win from either team, so you know, 12-0 down at half time, we're delighted to turn around and win 17-15.
So a great win for Stu Mill, a great fight back to take the points and remain undefeated. For Gala, they'll have to bounce back from this one for their border derby against Jed Forest next Saturday. This is Ron Evans for Scottish Rugby Television at Netherdale.